Is Grumpmas time, David?
I swear to all that is holy, if you don't get my name right. Crumpmas? You mean Christmas?
Who's Chris?
He's. Look, my beliefs aren't exactly extinct in your world. Olanius Pius is Catholic. Bah, you and Trazen, I swear.
Well, you need to talk about some game, right?
You know what? Let's see. I know a lot of games have some Christmas-themed monsters, but let's make a player race in Pathfinder 1st Edition. Of course, we've got a few options as to what to make. My list is as follows. Saints, I'll call them. What Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus would be. A divine creature with the outsider type, likely a medium-sized creature with the ability to teleport short distances or even fit into smaller spaces, though I like the first option better. Krampus, another outsider creature, with the ability to make a tier 4 bag of holding with a fear-inducing ability too. And Christmas elves. I hate elves, so I don't want to do this. But I'll still go into it, unfortunately. Now, we've got to go into the steps. First step should be figuring out how many race points we have. Now, the Advanced Races Guide has a chart that will give us a basic understanding of how many each basic type of race should get. We got the core races with 1 to 10 race points to make it, with 3 traits in each category, advanced races with 11 to 20 with 4 traits per category, while monstrous races have 20 or more with 5 traits per category. We've got a race in each category, actually. Now, first we need to figure out our concepts, which we've talked about slightly. The Saints are essentially the idea behind St. Nicholas. Perhaps they're an advanced race, given, a patron saint. Christmas elves will be a standard race, elves who specialize in crafting and creating, while Krampus will be a monstrous race, with a specializing in infiltration, theft, and kidnapping, which is a sentence I just said. Now, we don't really need to go into details about what each concept are, though most create your own X things in every game have a concept, quote, as a first step, though sometimes you can't figure out the concept until after you look at the options. One of my Sunday players made her race, and it was simply a first world satyr. Now, with a 10, 20, and 20 plus decided as our points, we know what we can do. Let's limit the Krampus to 30 just to keep it simple. Now, with steps 2, qualities. Let's go into the lowest value to the highest value. First is their type and subtype. The Christmas elf is humanoid with the elf subtype. Saint will be outsider with the native subtype, while Krampus will be a monstrous humanoid. These points will be 0, 3, and 3, marked on your right-hand side. Next, size. Christmas elves are described as being little, so they'll be small size. Santa Claus is supposed to be slightly shorter, but still in the medium-sized category. Krampus, however, is also medium-sized. He's never been described as being large, and is usually comparable to Santa Claus himself. Each of these are 0 points, keeping their values at 0, 3, and 3. Next is speed. This should be pretty simple, but let's think more on it. Normal and slow are the only ones we've got. Elves should get normal, as they have to run and around to make everything. Santa Claus, however, should get slow, as it gives medium-sized creatures the ability to not be slowed down by carrying capacity or armor. Krampus, however, keeps normal. Slow is a -1 to the points, so the values are 0, 2, and 3. Now, we go to the ability score modifications. Elves are keeping their standard stuff here, with a +2 to 1 physical and 1 mental, with a -2 to 1 score. We'll boost the intelligence and dexterity, but negative to charisma, as nobody ever sees an elf. Saints are gonna get the human heritage one, getting a +2 in one ability score of their choice. Now, normally this requires a human subtype, but we ain't gonna do that this time. And Krampus should get the Paragon, with a +4 to Constitution, but a -2 to all mental scores. This will put the point values at 2, 0, 2, and 4, with Standard and Human Heritage being a 0 and Paragon being a 1. Now, languages. This will be the first time we give Elf some point usage. Saints and Elf get the linguist quality, so they'll start with Common, either Tal'Doran or Tian Shaw, and their own racial language, which I'll put as Celestial for each of them, and any other languages that aren't secret languages. Krampus will get the Xenophobic, giving them a racial language, which I'll allow you to debate what it is for them, and if they have a high enough intelligence score or linguistic skill, they get Common and 3 other languages. Points are now at 1, 3, and 4. Now, we get to traits. The standard races get 3 traits per category, advanced 4, and monsters get 5. With defensive traits, the elves should get Eternal Hope, boosting their saves against fear. Saints should get Celestial Resistance with a tie to heaven. Krampus should have the Hardy trait, giving them a better save against poison spells and spell-like abilities. Now your points are at 3, 6, and 7. Saints should also get another trait in the subcategory Halo, giving a bonus to intimidation checks against evil creatures. Krampus as well, gaining natural armor, which gives him a +1 natural armor bonus. Costs now at 3, 8, and 9. Krampus should get another one, improved natural armor, which boosts that natural armor boost to +2, boosting the cost to 3, 8, and 10. Now we get into feats and skill traits. Starting with the Christmas elves, we'll give them the craftsman trait, but change the metal or stone into wood. The saint should get the emissary, giving them 2 die rolls on bluff and diplomacies. For Krampus, they'll get the silent hunter. Costs are now 4, 9, and 12. Let's go into more stuff with these guys. Christmas elves should get Master Tinker, another bonus to knowledge engineering. Saints should get quick reaction for being able to react to kids waking up before their eyes even open. And Krampus should get the Stalker trait. The cost to make these guys goes to 6, 11, and 13. Now we get into magical traits. The elf gets Elven Magic trait. Saint should get Magical Linguist, since they are able to understand every language, essentially talking to all children. And Krampus gets the at-will spell-like ability with the Scare spell. Costs are 9, 13, and 16. Now, movement. Christmas elves and saints will get removed from this, as there's nothing to be added to the list for them. The Krampus will get 2 things though. They'll get jump and fast, bringing their point cost to 9, 13, and 19. Now we're getting close to the end. Christmas elves are pretty good, but we're not there yet. We'll skip them for the next step too. Offensive traits. Saints, however, will get hatred against outsiders of devil and demon subtypes. Those 2 aren't the only hellspawn, but they're the most fitting for this. Krampus, however, will get Frightful Gaze and a custom trait that gives them a +4 to grapple, modifying the Kneecapper trait. So this will bring the cost to 9, 14, and 23. Now senses. Each race gets dark vision and low light vision. 3 points total. Costs of 12, 17, and 26 now. But wait, didn't we give the elves a maximum of 10 points? Yes we did. Which is now where we'll go into the next section. Weaknesses. Elves get an adapted negative energy affinity, changing it to positive energy affinity at a -1. So do saints. We'll also need to remove the requirement for elemental vulnerability for elves and give them a fire vulnerability. They live at the North Pole, after all. This puts the points at 9, 13, and 26. Now, the final traits. Elves gets nothing and will go home. Saints will get the heroic trait, adding 4 points to them, but it can be useless in most games, and they'll get the multi-talented trait, adding another 2, and an adapted rodent of empathy, changing it from rodents to deer or cervidae creatures for another point. Krampus will get prehensile tail, and that's it. Now, we've got some races. Abilities and points are listed here. The final scores are 9, 20, and 28 points. Now, I've talked enough. Shut up, Golic.
Oh.
I've got a night to find some paint for, so shove off.